These testimonials are representative of my or our experiences, but the exact results and experience will be unique and individual to each person. The information provided herein is not medical advice and is not intended to substitute for the advice of your personal physician or other healthcare providers. Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Beautiful Bag Podcast. I am your host, coming to you from the loft, LeeAnne Hayden. It is great to meet you. And if you are new to the podcast, I want to welcome you to it. And thank you so much. And if you before we get started in this week's episode, I want to make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. It is so important to make sure that you are subscribed, whether you're watching it on YouTube, whether you're listening in on podcast platforms, wherever you are listening to the podcast from. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And one more thing, if you may, and it means a ton, if you could leave a rating and a review. That would mean the world, because the more ratings and reviews we have on the podcast, the more it's going to be listened to around the world. And as we stand right now, we are the #1 podcast for ostomates around the world. So thank you so much for always listening in. I truly appreciate it. And I know the community does as well. So let's get started into this week's episode. This week's episode, we're going to talk about nourishing our bodies. I talk about food a lot. One, I love food. I love food, and I'm not shy to say that. However, we got to talk about nourishing our bodies and dietary adjustments that we need to make, whether we're post-surgery, just coming out of surgery, or we've been on this journey for a while. We've been on this journey for a while. We're getting to know what we can and cannot do, because things change after you have a stoma and after you have any kind of abdominal surgeries. Things change. Things can change. So we're going to talk about all that this week. But before we get started, well, as we get started, let's talk about the differences. There are three, right? We know there's three different types of ostomies. We have colostomies, ileostomies, and urostomies. And if you're listening to this, I would love to know, well, which type do you have? Comment below. Let me know which type you have. Are you in a colostomy bag? Are you in an ileostomy bag? Do you have a urostomy bag? Are you a dual ostomate? We have people that have both, right? A urostomy and a colostomy, urostomy and an ileostomy. So there's all kinds of things, but I would love to know. So make sure you comment below and let me know what type you have. Regardless, there are different nutritional needs and dietary adjustments that happen when you have different types of ostomies. Now, before I preface anything, I want to remind you guys, I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV, but I'm not a doctor. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist in the state of New Hampshire, only in the state of New Hampshire. So I did not go, I'm not a registered dietitian. I didn't go to college for this. I've just studied nutrition for a long time. So I want to make sure that I tell you guys to always go to your healthcare provider. This isn't advice. I'm not trying to tell you to change things up, anything at all. I'm just trying to tell you what works for me. And sometimes when people are on the episode, they tell you what works for them. So I just want to make sure that you're always going and checking with your healthcare provider before you make any kind of changes. And we're going to talk about the different types of people that you can talk to that can help you with dietary adjustments as well. I'll talk about that at the end of this episode. So now we're talking about it, right? So there's differences. You have a colostomy bag, you have an ileostomy bag, you have an urostomy bag. Now, I have a colostomy bag. And sometimes when people are in a colostomy bags, think about this before we get started in that. We look at our bodies. We eat food. It goes down our esophagus into our stomach. Stomach starts to break it down. And then it goes into our small bowels. Our small bowel or a small intestine, its job is to pull the nutrients, to break that food down even more and to pull the nutrients that our body needs out and into our body. And then once it gets to the end of the small bowel, it dumps into the large intestine, and the large intestine's job is to basically take any leftover nutrients that's still there, pulling it out, but its main job is to squeeze all that water out, all the fluid out, and to go into the rest of our body to hydrate us. And again, we are pretty much 70-80% water. Our bodies are a lot of water. So what happens now, if you have not listened to, there was an episode that I did gosh, it must have been almost 2 years ago with Dr. Joga Ivaturi. He was my colorectal surgeon. And we did an episode a while back and we talked about this. So I will link that episode below as well. So you can listen to it from a professional, from an actual surgeon. And he gives tips and tricks of what you can do and eat to kind of slow down the output if you need to, all of those things. So make sure you listen to that episode after this one. However, now that we know how the body works, right, then it goes through the large intestine. And for us, it comes out into our stoma. For other people, it goes and sits in the rectum until it's full up. And then the anus opens and it empties, right? The stool empties right out. We don't have that. Ours empties into a bag, hence why we're in ostomy bags. So as a colon, when you have your colostomy bag, you can have the majority of your colon and just missing a part of it. You can have half, small, like whatever it is. You have some type of your colon, your large intestine. So it's already doing all its job of breaking down the food, pulling into the nutrients, starting to suck that water out. So our hydration will be different. Our nutrients needs will be different because we can get a lot more through our body when we have that, right? Depends upon, again, whether you have Crohn's, colitis, cancer, like your reasons for it. So there's all kinds of reasons for that. But again, you have your colon. So your colon's job is to pull some of the water. Then if you have an ileostomy, as we know, it's more fluid-like. And that's where people have more rashes, more issues with trying to get the nutrients they need, and major hydration issues. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a whole episode on hydration. But the hydration in the small bowel, what Dr. Ivaturi had said is once our body adjusts to not having your large intestine anymore, not having your colon anymore, now your body's saying, oh, I've got to get this water somehow. So your small intestine does that job, as well as starts to takes all the nutrients out of your food, and its job is to start to take that water out as well, because your body needs the water. That takes some time. Now we know that I know that there's a lot of people who are in ileostomies who have to go to hydration stations. You have to go and get your body hydrated on a regular basis just to make sure you're hydrated. You get the IV in and it's pulling everything right straight into your bloodstream because you need the water. That's real. It's real. And it's something that if you have an ileostomy or you're not getting hydrated enough and you know it and you're lethargic or you're feeling tired, go to your doctor, talk to your doctor about it and say, maybe I need to get some hydration. I need to go get some bags and I need to go sit somewhere and I need to get hydrated because our bodies need it. So we need to take care of it. We are so individualized when it comes to nutrition, whether you're in an ostomy or not. Every single person's dietary needs are different. We all look at going online. At least I know I do. We go online and we get so confused and we're all like, what diet do I want? How much do I weigh? All this stuff. And we get so confused, right? You get paleo diet, you get the vegan diet, you get this, you get that. We are all so different that we have to play around with our food to see what works for us and what doesn't. And so your dietary plan is going to be very specific for you. So some recommendations that we can do that I would suggest that you do is keeping a journal of the food you eat and how you feel when you eat it. What does it do to your output? What does it do to your output? How does it feel going through your body? How do you feel a couple of hours after you have eaten the food that you eat? Does it give you energy? Does it make you sluggish? What is it? Because then once you start to write down, what did I eat? How did I feel? What's my output look like? Then you're going to start to learn what your needs are with your body. What does your body enjoy? What does it need? All right. So that's one. Navigating foods. So that's one. Everybody's different. Now let's talk about navigating foods. We have to be very careful when we first come out of having our ostomy, because some things that we ate prior to it, we may not be able to eat anymore. Some things we might need to start to avoid. Some could potentially cause blockages. Some people might have adhesions, like myself. I have adhesions that are around my small intestine from abdominal surgery. I have a couple of adhesions, and I have to watch some things that I eat because it will slow down my output and get stuck and cause blockages. So I have had to learn over the years, what does that even mean? What does that even feel like? Some foods can increase output. Some foods can increase gas. It's going to be trial and error for us for a while. But let me tell you something, and this is something that happened to me. So just in case you're ever feeling this, after I had my surgery, it was probably about 2 years after my surgery, every once in a while I would get cramps, and I would not understand that adhesions are a thing. And so I would get cramps. And then it was all in the area of where my gallbladder was. So my parents, my husband, everybody was like, you're having gallbladder attacks, LeeAnne, you don't eat greasy food. Like, how can you be having a gallbladder attack? I'm like, I don't know, but this hurts. It's right? Throwing up, the whole shebang. To the point of it happened so many times that I went to the hospital like 3 times to the emergency room, and they were like, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Like, they kept telling me I was fine. They didn't check for a blockage. Nothing. You're fine. They sent me home. Well, one is I probably threw up everything that was in my stomach to clear the blockage that way. I didn't even know I was having blockages. I thought I was having gallbladder attacks. So the last time it happened was on a Christmas Eve. And I go to the hospital. I am literally have been throwing up half the night. Call my husband. I'm like, I can't even get up to get in the car for you to bring me to the emergency room. I've got nothing left in me from energy. I can't stop throwing. I can't, like, there was nothing even to come up anymore. We call the ambulance, and the ambulance comes and they pick me up and they take me to the hospital. They call me. They're like, we're going to help you. Give me a shot, calm down that anti-nausea medication. So that stops, bring me in the hospital. I get in there. It's Christmas Day. I say to the doctor that comes in, the surgeon that comes in, he's checking me out, and we're thinking it's gallbladder and all that. I said to him, I don't care. You're not sending me home. You're taking my gallbladder. I am not dealing with this again. I don't want this. Gallbladder attacks are awful. I want nothing to do with it. And he looked at me, was kind of a little annoyed because it's Christmas Day. And so he's like, you know what? Fine. We'll go take it out. We'll do the surgery. We'll take it out. Go in, get the gallbladder removed. I think everything is handled. So then I go back, to normal life. I go back to eating, whatever. We move to New York, go out to dinner one night, and I come out and I'm like, I'm starting to have those cramps, guys. Same area, same spot, starting to have those cramps again. And I'm like, I have a gallbladder. Why am I having these cramps? This doesn't make any sense. And then it passed. So I was like, okay, maybe it was just something I ate. Okay, I got it. A couple of years go back, and I've told you guys the story of my blockages. So I end up having a blockage. I go to a CT scan. A couple of years later, I'm in a CT scan there. I come home, I start throwing up. The doctor's like, calls me, get to the ER right now. You have a blockage. I'm like, what? I go, I was wondering, I have pains in the same spot, the whole thing. Guys, I have adhesions. It took 4 years to figure out that the pain that I was having in my stomach wasn't a gallbladder attack. It was adhesions. It was blockages. And right. So those things, no. So if you're starting to have pains in your stomach and you can't stand it, get yourself to the emergency room, but then also say, do I have adhesions? Let's do some scans. Let me call my doctor. Let me get a GI in here. Like, let me advocate for myself, which we talk about a lot on this show. Let me advocate for myself because something's not right. And it is probably a blockage. So I've had a few after that. So now I'm very, very, very careful on what I do. However, long story short, I needed to talk to you guys about adhesions because they're serious. They're serious, and you can't take them. You have to be serious about them. So if you're starting to feel that pain and you're starting to throw up and you're starting to be like, I can't do this, don't play around with it. There has been some advice people have given about, drinking a Coca-Cola while you're eating your food helps clear blockages. There's all kinds of tips and tricks that people have done, other people have done that works for them. But guys, it's a serious matter. So make sure you get yourself checked right away. That's that. Now, we're going to talk about like increased output. So some foods that we eat will increase the output that you have, especially for those in an ileostomy. If you're in an ileostomy, your output's going to be slower. Now, Dr. Dietary talked about some of the foods that you can eat to slow down that output. Like, one thing, don't drink water when you eat your meal. When you're eating your meal, don't drink water. You can drink it like a couple hours after, a couple hours before. But don't do that, because then that will start to thicken, because water will thin out your output. He also talked about, eating a banana. Banana is great for slowing down that digestion, right? It's thick, it's fibrous, it's going to slow down your output. It's going to thicken up your output. Other people put things in their food to help thicken up their output. Some people maybe you're allergic to bananas, but you can eat other foods that will thicken up your output. So think things like, potatoes and rice and oatmeal, like that's going to start to thicken because they suck up the water, and it's going to start to thicken up the output and slow it to come out, right? To slow it down if you have high output. Some foods are going to cause gas. Broccoli for me. And again, I don't eat raw veggies all that often. I miss them. Sometimes I'll have a salad. However, broccoli, I will take you out. If I eat broccoli and I sit down, these filters on these bags are not powerful enough to handle that broccoli when it creates the gas. I remember this one time, I ate some broccoli, came back, sat down, or I was sitting across from one of my girlfriends, and ladies and gentlemen, I swear it was like the mask, the green smoke. I could almost I could smell it coming out and going right to her face. I could almost visualize that green smoke from the mask coming out and going right over and taking her over. And I kept looking at her and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she was just waving her hand in front of her face, being like, no worries. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. So again, some foods are going to cause gas. It's broccoli for me. I don't know what it is for you, but that's what it is for me. So it's going to be trial and error, and it's going to be trial and error for a while until you get used to it. So again, I will recommend keeping a journal on the foods that you eat, especially in the beginning, because you're going to learn what you can and cannot do. Some people can eat popcorn. I can eat popcorn just fine. Some people like popcorn. Oh my goodness, I can't even think about popcorn. It's going to cause a blockage. I just can't do it. So trial and error, be very cautious and take certain things seriously. We have to balance our nutrition. We have to eat a diet that is rich in nutrients. And whenever we think about that, we're like fruits and vegetables, and we need that nutrients in our body. And sometimes people like veggies. I can't touch a vegetable. Some people can eat cooked vegetables. Some people can't even eat raw vegetables. Again, it depends on your body, but we need to get the nutrients into our bodies that our bodies need to live. So a nutrient-rich diet typically looks like whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, healthy fats, all the things, your extra virgin olive oil, your avocado oil, your flaxseed oil, your healthy oils, your avocados. Oh, I love avocados. I just eat them all day. Avocados. And then you have, your lean meats. I'm talking like lean chicken and turkey and lean beef. All the things that you need for protein. Our bodies need protein. Protein helps to build muscle. Protein helps to strengthen you. Our bodies need water, and we need protein. Then you got your vegetables and your fruits, right? Your phytonutrients that are in the vegetables and fruits, antioxidants are in them. All of that stuff is in fruits and vegetables. Now, some people, again, you might not be able to eat certain things. You might be able to eat some things. Sometimes you might be able to, I want an apple. Well, some people might have to take the skin off of it, right? So you have to figure out what works best for you and do it in slow, small steps, especially when you're first coming out of it. Now, I do a lot of supplementation as well. And if you're interested in the supplements that I personally use for myself, just comment below supplements or send me an email and say, LeeAnne, I need to know the supplements that you take, or I'd like to learn a little bit more, and just send me that. And I will send you the link on the supplements that I take and why I take them. But sometimes we are deficient in our food. Our food is not the food that it used to be years ago when mom and dad used to eat. Our soil is not the soil that it is, unless you live in Italy, because you guys over in Europe, Italy, your food is amazing. I can go to Italy, eat an entire bucket of pasta, feel amazing, and not gain a pound. So whatever you guys are doing over there, keep doing it. We all need to get better, especially here in the US. I'm not going down that tangent, but Our food is not the food that it used to be. Our soil is not the soil. It's not mineral rich that it used to be. So we sometimes need to supplement things. I take it's a vitamin pack that actually has your probiotics, your prebiotics, your fruits, your greens, all the phytonutrients that you need in it. And it has a fish oil tablet. I take one packet a day, and I know that my body's going to be covered for it to break down, and it will break down in your body. And it will break down in your body, and your body can absorb this nutrients. So again, you're interested, supplements, and I'll send you the information on it. So sometimes your body needs different supplements. I know people, and again, I used to do this until I found something that I could use. When you go to get your IVs, some people will go to an IVs place, like a place called Restore. They're popping up all over the place, where you can get vitamin drip IVs. So you can get your vitamins and nutrients in your body that you need through, and you're getting hydrated all at the same time. I would go, a little pricey, but I would go and I would spend the money on IV drips, and I would put glutathione in there and B vitamins in there and all the things that I thought my body's I need this. I'm not getting it from my food. I need it. Right now, I found a supplement that I take as liquid form that has a glutathione in it and has all those great things in it. So we sometimes will need to supplement, and there's different ways to get it. But I want to make sure that you guys know, if you do go and do supplementation, again, check with your healthcare provider. But if you do want to start to say, you know what, I do need some supplements because I'm not getting enough nutrients in my body, make sure it is high quality supplements. Don't go and just go get your GNC Mega Ultra Women's. I talked about this years and years and years ago because I've been in the health field for a long time. I went and said, I learned a long time ago, you would take your vitamin, and if your vitamin didn't break down in a glass of water, it's not breaking down in your body. It should break down in a glass of water within 15 minutes. Just a glass of water. It doesn't need anything else in it, just the vitamin. Drop it in the glass of water, stir it up. If that sucker is not breaking down and turning into liquid, if it's one of the solid forms, you're wasting your money. Throw it away. Go get it's worth the money to spend on high quality supplementation if you're going to take supplements. Okay, that's that. So that's balancing your body, a little bit on supplements. Now, managing your fluid intake. We're going to go into that whole thing in a couple of weeks and talk about all about, hydration and everything. And I talk about hydration a lot because it's really, really important. Our bodies are 80%. Make sure you're getting your water in. Make sure you're putting electrolytes into your water. Our bodies need it. Sometimes you can add a little bit of mineral salts, like sea salt, mineral salt, into your water, just a little, just to give yourself stuff. I actually use, I get it from Whole Foods. It's called Ultima, and they have like a pink lemonade flavor and a regular lemonade. It's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. I put it in my water and I drink that all day long. So I'm keeping myself hydrated. So you can add electrolytes into your water, and so that you stay hydrated. That helps with hydration. Eating out. We eat out a lot, especially when we lived in Manhattan. Guys, it's like 7,000. You could eat, what'd they say? You could eat every meal in a restaurant for 7 years in Manhattan and still not get through all the restaurants. Okay. So when we lived in Manhattan, we ate out every single day. I pretty much had lunch out every day. I definitely had dinner out every single day. So when we're going out to dinners, what happens, right? So sometimes we'll have gas. Sometimes our bags will, fill up because of what we're eating. And again, if we stay home, if we're home and we know what's going into our food, we know the trial and error. So when you go out to dinner and you're sitting out in dinner, because we should enjoy our lives. When you go out to dinner, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to know, okay, I'm going to get this meal because I know this meal works for me. And it may, right? They may have something else in it that doesn't work for you. Read what's in the menu. If you have to ask questions, let me tell you, waiters and waitresses in most places love, one, they're paid on tips, right? They're making money on their tips, especially here in the US. They want to help you. They want to, you can say, is there food allergies? Yes, I'm allergic to this, this, and this. They ask you that nowadays. If you have questions about what's in a meal, ask them. If you could ask them if they can make an adjustment, most times they will make that adjustment for you. I was always so afraid to ask going out into a restaurant, like, can you hold that? Can you add that? Like, can you do double veg? Or, I mean, this was back in competing days. Can you do double veg and hold the fat? Kind of like that Meg Ryan and what's his name? You guys are going to have to help me with this. I'm thinking of it. When Harry Met Sally. That movie, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. When Harry Met Sally, and Sally would go into a restaurant and she'd be like, hold the mayo, put this on the side, let mustard on the side, whatever. You can do that. It's allowed. It's allowed. So eating out and then social dining, going out and being around people. I remember the very first time that after my surgery, that I went out to eat with my friends. We were meeting at this restaurant, but we were hanging at the bar. They wanted to go hang at the bar. So I show up, everybody's hanging around the bar, and I walk in, and it was the very first time I had gone out with my stoma in a crowded place. And I was so afraid that somebody was going to bump into me or that I was going to hurt my stoma, like it was going to fall off. I don't know. That's what I thought. Like somebody's going to bump into the stoma. It's not going to fall off. That's not right. However, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. So going out and social dining, and again, I told you the story of me with my girlfriend eating broccoli and it coming right at her. We have to learn these trials and errors and figure out what's going to work for us. We're allowed. We should be enjoying our lives. Again, this is our second chance at life. This is why I created the podcast. This is why we talk about it. This is why we're still here, right? We're here for a reason. I say this every single week. We're here for a reason, and we have that second chance in life. So we should be enjoying it. We should be enjoying it. So enjoy your dinners out. Figure out what's working for you. Make sure that you journal so that you learn your body and you learn what's going on for you, what's working for you from food perspective. If you need supplementation, get it. Always ask for expert advice. If you're very confused, if you're confused and you're like, I have no idea what to do. I don't know where to start. What do I do? Well, physicians, for the most part, they're great at their job. Surgeons are great at surgery. Physicians are great at diagnosing things and making recommendations. Nutritionists and dietitians are really good at their job, right? I'm not one. I got certified in holistic nutrition, but to get to be a nutritionist and a dietitian, you have to go to school for that. You need to learn those things. And there are actually people who are in ostomies who are dietitians. I've had Amalia on here on the podcast last year, and she's a registered dietitian. She is a registered dietitian in an ileostomy. Go find her on social media. She is the Ostomy dietitian on Instagram. Go follow her on Instagram. Go and ask her questions, ask advice, find the experts and ask them for their advice. Your doctor can recommend to you nutritionists and dietitians. Your surgeon can do the same. Say, you know what? I'm having an issue. The WOCN nurses. Thank gosh for them. Like, thank you to the WOCN nurses. You can go to your WOCN nurse and say, hey, listen, I need to learn more about nutrition. Like really specifically for me, can you make a recommendation? And then from there, they can turn around and help you with finding health coaches, helping you in your state. Some people do it online. So there's so much help that you can get out there. And again, I've studied nutrition for a very long time. I don't take clients. I don't coach anymore. I used to coach. I don't do any of that stuff anymore because I'm doing this and other things. And I want to bring you guys other experts because this is more really where my zone of excellence stands, and I'm going to stay in it. However, I do have some tips and tricks and some things that I can offer you for advice and some schooling. And I did get certified in gut health, and I did get certified in nutrition, and I have been certified holistic health coach and a holistic health nutritionist. And I can put that in quotes in the state of New Hampshire. Right? So I've studied a lot, but even people that are experts, they're going to tell you it's all going to be trial and error. And the only way to figure it out is to eat, to make notes, to journal, and to find out what works for you and what doesn't work for your body. So I hope you found this episode helpful in a little bit of a way. And I hope you guys have a rest of the fantastic week. Oh, and this one more thing I do have, if you're interested, I did create a wellness guide. It's a free wellness guide. It's got some tips and tricks in there, some of the things that I mentioned. If you are interested in getting a copy of that free guide, you'd head over to my website, LeeAnneHayden.com. And you can sign up for that. It's right on the home page. It says free wellness guide. Just click on there, put your email in, and you will get that email address sent right to that email address. You will get that wellness guide sent right to your email address. If not, and you're watching this on one of the social platforms, just comment the word wellness guide, and I will make sure that you guys get that wellness guide. It's my free gift to you for listening. So thank you again so much. If you found this episode helpful, please share it, tag me out in the social media, and I will reshare it. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will chat with you again next week.